Hello everyone, it's Jade from Broder Bookworm. I look like this because I cannot be bothered to get dressed today. I have been in A&E, I have been on painkillers and antibiotics, I fractured my tooth, I got an abscess, and it's been bloody painful. Finally, my antibiotics are finished, so cheers. That said, today is going to be a very mellow session, talking about the last books that I read throughout May, while I paint my nails. Oops. First things first, I've got to put these thingies on. I never know how to do this. Is it that way or that way? I think it's this way. All in between my wonky little toes. Oh, blimey, this one's crooked as shit. And later I am going to be doing a lovely face mask. So, proper pamper night for me. I've got some chicken breast and some broccoli that I'm going to make with some little roasted potatoes. I think I'm going to bake it all in the oven, like with some paprika and I don't know, I'm going to make it like a really nice spicy little chicken breast. So the first book I'm going to talk to you about is The Pisces by Broder. Now this is one heck of a vulgar, sexually explicit, bizarre, yet oddly deep tale about the toxic side to love. And it's all kind of twisted together in this really strange, magical, realism, fantastical story. And I can honestly say I have never read a book like this in my life. I don't know if I want to ever again. Alright, so I'm just going to put my base coat of gel on first to start. So The Pisces follows this woman in her 30s, Lucy, and she's hit rock bottom after this horrible breakup. And honestly, I have to say, in the beginning, so much of Lucy was so relatable. I mean, you know, I've just turned 30, love life, bloody hell, what's going on? A couple of you did ask about the Irish leprechaun I went on a date with. He'll hate it if he knows I said that. Sorry, he's not a leprechaun. But yeah, no, it went really well. We're getting along, we're chatting, and we've hung out a couple of times. So we'll see where it goes. However, that is not the point of this video. You know, I really related to the pressure Lucy was under to have this ring on her finger, and how she felt like other women that had that ring on their finger and had someone that feels that way about them and loves them that much and wants to commit to them in that way, how it almost feels as though they're taunting you with that hand, and like they're literally like shoving it in your face that they've got everything that you don't, and that you're not as good as them, basically. Sorry, I've got to come over here where my UV lamp is to bake my toes. So as the book kind of goes along, you realise that Lucy's actually god-awful. You grow to detest her as a person. She's just a horrible human being. Basically, like, yeah, she's very self-involved and just a hideous person. And one day she's like sitting on these rocks overlooking the ocean, and she sees this swimmer in the water, and she becomes absolutely mesmerised and enamoured by him. They start this really sexually intense relationship, and you know, like, I don't shy away from sex in books. I quite like a bit of erotic fiction, but whew, even I'm like, oh my god. Alright, so I have chosen a pretty pink, baby pink colour to do my toenails today. I don't really have any summery colours, and summers are coming, yo! So anyway, the rest of this bloody book is basically just these two shagging non-stop. It puts 50 Shades to shame. All I'm gonna say here is, I don't know if you've read 50 Shades, you will know about the tampon scene, which a lot of people were horrified by and are probably haunted forever by. If that scene in 50 Shades of Grey, the book, luckily, thankfully, for everyone's benefit, they kept it out of the film. If that scene in the book, in 50 Shades of Grey, freaked you out, just avoid The Pisces at all costs, because it is gruesome. Like, okay, it's one thing pulling a girl's tampon out while she's menstruating and then like tossing it aside to shag her. But the things that go down in this book are just like so it's really not until a very long way into the book, like probably over halfway into the book, that the magical realism kind of fantasy element actually comes out. This is glamorous, isn't it? This is how I paint my nails. I guess in a way you can kind of say it's a bit of like a Little Mermaid retelling, if The Little Mermaid was a horror and a porn. There's, you know what, there's like a rawness to this book that on the one hand is incredibly admirable, on the other it really is just a lot too much. Like, way too much. And I am not a sensitive reader. If you are a sensitive reader, you also need to be very aware that there are major trigger warnings in this book for things such as animal abuse. So, I mean, Lucy's inner monologue is like center stage, and it is just something else. Her mental health is a major element in this book. It really kind of focuses on the unhealthy way that she views the world and herself. Her deep desire to be loved and wanted. This book scarred me for life, and while I do think that the message is powerful, it was far too grotesque for me, and 2 stars. Sorry. The next book I'm going to talk about is Everything But the Truth by Gillian McAllister, who I follow religiously on Instagram as a fellow author. I just love getting her updates on what she's up to writing wise. It's just, she's brilliant and she's so interactive and fun. She's got a ginger cat and she's got a golden retriever. She's got the life I want. She's a published thriller author. She is future me. So this is the second book of hers that I read, and I really enjoyed the first one. Everything But the Truth sounded right up my street. It's the story of this pregnant woman called Rachel, and one day she sees this email to her partner that she isn't supposed to see. She looks at it by accident, and basically it changes her entire life. She realizes everything her husband has ever said, or not husband, her partner has ever said to her has been a lie. And he is not who he says he is. And why is he lying? What is he trying to protect? Well, if it's an author that I have like a kind of a special soft spot for, or I've really enjoyed one of their other books, it is difficult for me to do a negative review, but I do have to be honest. I found this book very slow paced. I feel like so much could have been done with it with such an exciting plot. But instead it was this like really dragged out mystery about discovering the truth about someone you thought you knew through a lot of nosiness and paranoia. It didn't keep me gripped or compelled at all. You know, when I put it down, there was nothing that kind of really made me want to pick it back up straight away or even a couple of hours later. And the thing is, it's not even that it was badly written. It was just that not much really happened in it. So I ended up giving this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Right, on to the next book. It is beautiful. So the next book that I am going to talk to you about is a very popular one, Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I recently discovered, not recently, a little while ago, I discovered Taylor Jenkins Reid, and some of her books have absolutely blown me away. It isn't my normal genre, so I'm not really the target market for a book like this. So with that being said, here is my review. Daisy Jones and the Six is about a 1970s rock band on the rise to fame and stardom, and this young, heedless girl, Daisy Jones, whose voice is starting to get noticed. And basically they team up. They have this massive hit, really takes them off the ground. Jones kind of makes this band absolutely iconic, despite all the tension and the drama and fight for artistic control. So the book follows them on their journey into this like rise to fame and stardom, takes them through like, you know, sex, drugs and rock and roll, and leads to their inevitable split. The very unique thing about this book is that it's told in interview format. It very quickly envelops you, and you actually like... There's a dog outside. It's interesting because you actually kind of forget that this is a fiction book and that this band isn't actually real because of the way that it's all set up. That dog's going to annoy me now. I love dogs, but not when I'm trying to film a video. Unless it was a golden retriever sitting right here with its big face, just like, then that'd be nice. The whole book seemed very factual and very real, which was really enjoyable. The band felt tangible, if that makes any sense. So the book had a lot of different layers and subplots, and they kind of gave us insight into each of the characters in the best possible way. I often find that that can be quite overwhelming in a book, that there's just too many things going on and things you need to keep track of, but Taylor Jenkins Reid did it really well here to help us connect with each of the characters. So I found at first, because of the format, it was quite hard to get into, but then at some point, suddenly it was like wham, I was completely sucked in. So overall, while the story itself is really good, I did find the format a bit off-putting for me. The whole like interview documentary type thing, I don't know, it just took away from it in a way, but then at the same time it's very hard to review this book because then I think like it's coming to our screens later this year at some point, and I think, you know, if it is produced and directed in the right hands, this could be like the next bloody Pete Tong movie, and Pete Tong is like one of my favourite films. So book-wise, I just felt like it jumped around a little bit too much between different narrators for me. Yeah, it just kind of got a bit difficult to keep up, really. It was a really unique and vibrant book, kind of like exposing us to all of the pressures that influencers, even way back in the 70s, have and had. I believe that Taylor Jenkins Reid was actually inspired by the story of Fleetwood Mac, as well as a more recent band, the Civil Wars or something. What was it? I'm pretty sure it was the Civil Wars. And Reid managed to like weave this love story into the pages while not making it the main focus, which I really appreciated. She accentuated the music, which is exactly what the book is about. I could feel the music, I could hear the music through her written word, and I think that's really special. So I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5 stars because it's not a thrilling, scary novel that I normally go for, but I did enjoy it, even though I'm not the normal target market for this kind of book. I'll definitely be watching the film, and I am quite interested to see who plays the characters. Shall we have a look now? I've got my laptop right in front of me. Let's have a look. Daisy Jones and the Six cast. Let's see if I agree. If they've even released this yet, I don't know. Riley. Daisy Jones is someone called Riley Keough. No idea who that is. Billy is Sam Claflin. There's no one I really know that much, interestingly. We've got Camilla Marone, Suki Waterhouse, Josh Whitehouse. Yeah, no one that I'd necessarily be... Isn't Sam Claflin? Isn't that like the sexy dude? Hold on. Where's Sam Claflin from? I'm pretty sure I've got the hots for him. Let's look him up. What's he been in? Pirates of the Caribbean? Hey? Philip Swift. He's been in something else that I thought he was bloody gorgeous in. I'm pretty positive. Was it Jane Austen film? It's going to bug me now. We're going to find out together. Oh, that's it. Of course it is. Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. He was Will Traynor. Duh. What an idiot. Knew I recognised him. Okay, yeah, cool. So he's good old Billy in this book. I will watch it just to see his pretty face. And on that note, I need to go and bake my toes. And I'm back. So, then I'm going to talk to you about a book I just finished called The Minders by John Mars. Now, John Mars I recently discovered, and I've been flying through his books. I have loved every single one thus far. So obviously when I got The Minders, I had really high hopes, even though like the premise sounded a bit intimidating to me. So John Mars blends science fiction and thriller together. And I never used to be much of a sci-fi person, I'll admit it. It just goes over my head most of the time. But John Mars has this way of making the storylines so easily readable, and I just become enamored by them. I do feel like The Minders, as I suspected it would be from the premise, I feel like it was just a little bit too techie for my liking. It really, like the last half of May, wasn't a very good reading month. No book has surpassed a 3-star yet. I have one more book to talk about after this one. So The Minders is a book set in the 21st century, and information is everything. So with cyber terrorism and computers being so easily hackable these days, the government has come up with this unique initiative that will keep their secrets close to their chests. Literally. Instead of this information being kept somewhere vulnerable, like online, a select few who are all wanting to escape their lives for some reason or another that we find out along the way have solved this puzzle put together by the government, and they are now chosen to get this genetic code implanted into their brains. Their lives as they know it are completely erased, and they get to have a completely fresh start. However, they now know every single secret, lie, conspiracy theory, and cover-up that the government have been involved in. And now someone has found out who these people are. We call them the Minders, and they are now going to hunt them down. This book is a bloody mind bender, and I was not feeling flexible. I didn't find it as compelling as his other books. I struggled really hard to get into it, and I actually had to restart it about 4 times. It was painfully slow paced. I am saddened that I didn't enjoy it because his other books I really loved, and I did have high hopes for it. But what I will say, the interesting thing about his books is John Mars has created his own world. So he references books that he's previously written, like big things that happen in them, like The One and The Passengers, 2 of his previous books. Elements of those books are in this book. So he's created this whole world. So while you don't have to read his books in order, I do think it's beneficial to do so because they do get heavily referenced. And it's actually really fun because it's like this familiar little place that you go back to and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I don't want to give any spoilers away though, so I'm not gonna say anything. Unfortunately though, I gave this book a 2 out of 5 stars. Right, the last book that I'm going to talk to you about today is Bad Mommy by Taryn Fisher, but I have not had a chance. I just finished it today, so I need a second to process it. Now that I've gotten all my thoughts of these other books out of my head, let me go away, think about this, finish baking my toes, and then I'll be back and I will tell you what I think about Bad Mommy by Taryn Fisher. Bad Mommy by Taryn Fisher. The crux of this story is that it's about this woman called Fig who buys this house in this neighbourhood, not particularly because she really likes the area or the house itself, but because she likes what's living next door. She likes the child. She likes her family. She likes what she can't have, someone else's life. And so begins this spine-chilling tale of obsession and stalking. I found this book so addictive, laced with unreliable, unlikable characters. I mean, we've got a psychopath, we've got a sociopath, and then we've got a writer, Taryn. Very, very clever little thing there that you'll find out at the end once you read the book, but very, very good. So Fig yearns for a child. She has struggled with infertility issues. It's not going to happen for her. It's such a real and raw book that it just hits you right to your core. And Fig, when she sees this child, she just, in her head, she really truly believes that it is hers. So she weasels her way into this family's lives, and she claims that the mother to this child, or she calls the mother of this child Bad Mummy. It's a twisted, disturbing, unput-downable book. And it really surprised me when, a little bit through the book, the point of view changes and we realise that the other characters are actually just as fucked up as Fig is. Let's not beat around the bush. Like the characters, this book is freaking crazy. I think that Fisher is a master at concocting stories with dysfunctional humans. She revels in portraying domestic relationships at their worst. Bad Mummy is horrifyingly beautiful, gripping and creepy. I think it's really rare for a book to be considered magic, but that is exactly what Bad Mummy is. It's electrifying. There are a lot of trigger warnings in this book, such as, like infidelity, slut shaming, mental health, homophobia, to name only a few. But regardless, 5 out of 5 stars from me. So at least May ended on a positive note, and I am still reading You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes, and I am also currently over halfway through The Whisper Man by Alex North. I have to say, I think I struggle with male audiobook narrators. I'm really not enjoying The Whisper Man. It's all right. It's just a bit boring. It's just another mystery book, and mystery books just aren't really my thing. I mean, yeah, I'll wait until June wrap up to give you my review on it, because who knows, maybe that will change. But at this stage, over 5 hours into the audiobook, I don't really see that happening. But anyway, I hope you'll have a great weekend, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.